Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, for anybody who doesn't know. I hope you all are doing well today. I want to welcome everyone, especially the new people, and just give you a couple of things to think about while you're here. We are a community of serious people talking about serious things having to do with preparedness and survival and things like that. We are a community that treats each other with respect, and we are polite, and it's kind of like you are invited into my home to talk with me and my other friends, and as long as you comport yourselves appropriately, you are more than welcome. And occasionally somebody will act in a way that I wouldn't allow in my home, and then they are gone. And that allows all of our people, our viewers, our commenters, our subscribers, to know that they're in a place where they can express intelligent opinions and not be ridiculed and not be attacked, but have discussions. We had an amazing round of discussions on yesterday's. It was the ones in which I asked, would the U.S. military turn on U.S. citizens? Now, you know, that's been the subject of debate among many people for a long time. Some of us have experience in one of those or the other. Some have experience in both. And I was real interested to read all of the comments from everybody, and they were exceptional. Now, there were a few on the YouTube side, yeah, that were far less than exceptional, shall I say, or maybe I'll say exceptionally stupid. Those get bounced out because they don't add to the quality of the conversation, and I'm about quality, not quantity, and you'll see a difference here. Over on the Patreon channel, it was just exceptional. The depth of the knowledge and conversation and thought processes were very interesting. I enjoyed listening to watch. I had a couple, I'll be honest, I'm going to say this, a couple of comments, or shall I say repeated comments that got a little bit close to the line. Realize that this isn't a place to where we're trying to start fights with anybody. It's not the place to chest pound or to anything else. It's a place to share opinions with other smart people. Today we're going to talk about another one that I think is very interesting, and that is, are Chinese shock troops already in the United States? And if so, what? Right? I think this is another subject that a lot of people are interested in. There's been a lot of discussion about, a lot of argument about. And here again, a discussion, a discussion is a sharing of views. There's no reason to be. I tell you what distinguishes argument from discussion. Discussion is when you express your opinion, whether or not it agrees with or with another person or not, and you express your opinion and then give the reasons for that. The argument is the childish stuff like, no, it's not, or yes, it will, or all cops will go against you, or, those are ridiculous statements. And I have to believe, when I read statements that are stupid, I kind of remember the handle of that person, and if they, if I see a few of those, they're gone. I did bounce one person, and here again, this fits in with this. If you're new to us, I spend a few minutes going over a few things that occur to me before I get to the main topic, okay? These things are important to me and of some interest to our viewers, but they're kind of leading up. Just imagine you're in church, or imagine, whatever. Maybe it's the preacher in me, I don't know, but I'll say those little things before we get to the meat of it. I banned somebody yesterday. I'll tell you why. in the past, they had actually left some fairly good comments. I mean, you know, not bad. But they said, skip to 7-minute mark. Okay, what that is saying is, and I know I don't jump on here and try to scare the bejesus out of you from the beginning. This is about, because I enjoy talking to my people. And not my people, I don't mean that in a possessive way. I enjoy talking to the people who come here on this channel to hear, learn, and discuss. But when somebody says skip to the 7, it starts at 7 minutes. What that has said is that nothing that I said before that was of any import. Okay? No consequence. He didn't say a thing that was important at all to anybody until 7 minutes. What that means is that person wasn't interested. It's the same. Here. Some people need to be taught manners, you know, and those who are our regulars here know manners. So this is for the newer people. That's like coming to my house when you've been invited to my house, coming in the door and then saying, and as I'm greeting my guests, turning to the people behind you and saying, don't bother greeting him. Don't listen to what he has to say. Let's get into the party. I'm the host. And he's now the ghost. I didn't mean that. I didn't know that was going to rhyme. Okay, so yesterday's was a great topic. This day. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Get to it. I'll get to it when I feel like it, all right? And our regulars are laughing out there because I took several sips of coffee. We're sold out of books. We're sold out of, I think there's one copy we have of one of the books. I don't remember which it is, but we have sold out. We are totally out of stock of the books of the Stonemont series. All of my books, for those of you who don't know, the Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, and the Hostages to Fortune, the complete plan of how to prepare for, how to survive, how to rebuild after a complete collapse of whatever. We are out. However, a new order has been put in, and we should be getting them in a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer. If you want to order them directly from me, which I love because because I get to sign the books to you and everything like that, go ahead and get your orders in, and you will be, you know, on the list wherever you end up on the list as they come in. And I see that I need to order more. I need to place larger orders. I didn't realize that this website was gonna explode like it has, but it has. And you can also get the t-shirts. Now, we're not out of stock with t-shirts because we can get those daily from a supplier, but I have to rely on the publisher and the printer for the books. And so that takes several weeks, okay? Usually a couple, 3 weeks, something. So anyway, you can, the website is stonemont.us. Yes, I'm wearing one of the old shirts. You can see all the t-shirts there. Something new's coming tomorrow. I thought it might be here today, but it is not. I think it'll be here tomorrow to show you, and I'm excited about that. But the books, you can still order the books. You'll be on the list, and I'll ship them out as soon as I get my shipment in. If you want them right away, you can get them from Amazon. They're good about shipping quickly, and they can get all the books that you want. Amazon, the link is down below how to get my books from Amazon. They're in paperback or Kindle. So there you go. I hate being out of books, but thank you all so much. Everybody who has bought just cleaned me out. Okay, ready to get started. Several days ago, Triple G, and I've fallen behind because of the holidays and a whole lot of other things going on. Triple G sent something into the community section of the Patreon channel. And if you're not on Patreon and you're serious, you need to be. Just like with my books, when people say, I wish that I'd read these years ago. Well, and when people come on Patreon, they say, oh, can't believe how much more stuff there is on Patreon. This is the place to be. And they're right. And if you're serious, you need to be over there too. It's only $1 a month, for crying out loud. and it keeps, to be honest, it keeps most of the riffraff out. It doesn't keep all. I had to get rid of one the other day, and I will. I'm not, I'm not shy to do that if necessary. Just act like your mama raised you. If your mama didn't raise you right, ain't my fault. Okay, this is from, what is this from? Based Underground. And it says, Gordon Chang says that China's shock troops are now inside the U.S. So I'm going to read this a little bit. I'm not going to read all of it. It's posted over on Patreon. You can, and that link is also down below. You can read it for yourself. And I'm going to read a little bit, and then we'll talk about it. So it says, China's shock troops are already inside the United States, and the concern is that on the first day of war in Asia, they will take down America's power lines, poison reservoirs, assassinate officials, start wildfires, spread pathogens, and create terror by bombing shopping malls and supermarkets. I'm still surprised that it hasn't happened yet. I'll be honest. I've been constantly surprised. And people will say, well, we have Homeland Security and we have good defenses, and what? We don't have that good defenses, guys. No, I think there's this idea amongst many that our country is so hardened and nobody can carry off a successful attack, and it's not. Because there are many ways to do these things. Okay, so anyways, so that's the warning from Gordon Chang, the author of The Coming Collapse of China, and a Gatestone Institute Distinguished Senior Fellow. He wrote at the Institute, where he is on his advisory board, that Chinese migrants are gaining entry to the U.S. through the southern border, yes, we know that, in unprecedented numbers. Once here, the military fighters can link up with China's agents already in place or Chinese diplomats, he said. Estimated their numbers already had 5,000 to 10,000. Now, they're in every university that we have. He cited Richard Fisher of the International Assessment and Strategy Center, who told Gatestone recently, when the Chinese Communist Party starts its war against Taiwan and the United States, Americans should expect that Chinese sleeper agents now in America will hit targets like gas stations, and military-aged Chinese now crossing our border will be mobilized for assassination attacks and assaults on U.S. military bases. I found that a little bit interesting, that he's talking about sleeper agents. Now, this also could be poor writing, or it could be poor editing. Hit targets like gas stations. Where does that come from? Gas stations? I can think of a lot of better targets than gas stations. Oh, somebody shot up a Quick Trip gas station. Okay, that'll shut down everything, right? No, it'll have an effect on it. It'll immediately be responded to by local law enforcement. Depending on the size of the attack. I mean, it doesn't have to be a squad of guys to take out a gas station. And if somebody shoots up a gas station, it's going to be local police, that initiate and probably run most of the initial investigation until the Fed boys come down and take it over because they want to make, as they say, a federal case out of it. But, if 8 or 10 or 12 guys hits a gas station and blows everything up and doesn't want tankers there refilling, and well, then everybody comes together. But a gas station? Well, he said gas stations. If you got up in the morning and found out that 500 gas stations had been hit across the country at a particular time, or even at different times, okay, that might have an effect on people going, I don't think I want to go get gas. But, there are other targets that would have a much deeper effect, I think. And even when we get, okay, I'll wait until I go through this. That means the next war in Asia will almost certainly be fought on U.S. soil, perhaps on its first day. Unsuspecting Americans will be in the fight. And of course, what that is in reference to is the warning against ever becoming involved in a land war on Asia. Okay, did we learn nothing from Vietnam, and Korea? Obviously not, because we went to Southwest Asia later, right? Afghanistan, the graveyard of empires. Don't we? Well, yeah. We know better. It's the people that are out there making billions of dollars off these wars that want to keep them going on. Okay, he explained. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reports that the number of apprehensions of Chinese migrants in the first 5 months of the current federal fiscal year was more than double that during all of the last fiscal year. The 8,000 Chinese migrants apprehended this calendar year are more than quadruple the number apprehended in the comparable period a year ago. Interesting. 4 times as many, right? They're flying to Ecuador, which allows entry, and then they make their way through Colombia and Panama. And he warned some migrants are almost certainly members of China's People's Liberation Army, the PLA. Representative Mark Green of Tennessee, chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, said in a press conference on the 14th this month that a Border Patrol sector chief informed him that some of the Chinese migrants at the southern border have known ties to the PLA. On reaching the United States under Joe Biden's administration's programs, they are simply released into America. We know why, don't we? He noted China has already been probing sensitive installations. We know that. Chinese agents posing as tourists, snap, right? For instance, intruded into bases, including the Army's Fort Wainwright in Fairbanks, Alaska. There, the suspected Chinese agents drove past a base gate and were later apprehended with a drone inside their car. He says, we have no idea who these people are, and it's very likely using Russia's template of sending military personnel into Ukraine. China is doing the same into the United States. Okay, there's a lot. Okay, whatever. Let's stop the reading. That article's over on Patreon if you want to read it and talk about it. Is there any doubt that there are Chinese military or intelligence in our country? No, there's no doubt. Why? Because every superpower wants to do everything that they can to develop all the information they can, and even though about their not just their adversaries but their friends. You can look at what our friends spy on us, and we spy on our friends because we're not really friends. We are situational allies. Okay, and there are some countries with whom we share great, some great background and basic principles and values, but those ties can be amazingly fragile depending on what the latest thing is coming down the road. So we know the Chinese are here. They've been in our universities for years. The Chinese always work on 100-year plans and 1,000-year plans and million-year plans probably, while we plan for dinner tonight, And in many cases, even though we have some very smart people in our intelligence agencies, we have some very dumb people in our political arms. And they are the ones who, I could get into a long argument about, whether, I'm not even going to go there. I'd never come back from that rabbit hole. So we are limited by the stupidity, the ignorance, the corruption, the immorality of our political leadership. And that means we're stuck in a bad place. Okay, so what are we to think about these military-aged Chinese PLA-associated young men coming across our border? Well, they are here, obviously, to be put to use. They didn't come to sightsee. Okay, they didn't come for jobs. They didn't come to go to school. They used to come to school to steal all of our technology. But they're here for a reason. What could that reason be? The old sleeper cell is obvious. Could they wreak havoc across our country? Yes, they absolutely could. Because our country, they don't have to hit military targets, and they would be very stupid to hit military targets. Our country runs on business. Our country runs on finances. And a combination of physical assaults and cyber attacks on those centers of commerce and finance are what could bring this country to a screeching halt. You remember after 9/11 how everything slowed down. Look what they did with the stay-at-home orders a few years ago. Was that practice? Could have been. I tend to think that it was. I'm not going to say that it was, not because I'm afraid of expressing that opinion, but one should rarely, if ever, say such and such was such and such. Okay, the world is more complicated than that. Never underestimate the power, as they say, of stupid people in large numbers. And while pretty much every conspiracy theory that I've looked in, I ended up pretty much believing after enough investigation from my old investigator's brain. I also realize that occasionally there are coincidences. There's no such thing as coincidence, Steve. See, that's kind of a stupid comment that I don't I don't listen to. Makes you sound dumb. Don't say that. But I also don't discount the fact that these things can happen for crazy reasons. I mean, I investigated enough things in my life. Hi, buddy. Enough things in my life to know that sometimes the most idiotic things happen, resulting in the most idiotic, surprising results. But we should keep our eye on the fact that we are under attack, and we are under attack from a number of groups and countries around the world, and that these attacks are being allowed, and in some cases aided and abetted by people within our own government. And the big question, because we can't control any of that, we can't do anything about that. The big question is, what are we to do? What should we do about it? The answer, as always, is basic and then advanced preparedness. I on one of the videos that I've done in the last couple of weeks, I don't remember what it was, I explained how when I used to teach my fighters, in martial arts, there's a lot of fancy stuff. Most of it's worthless, would never work in a real fight. But it's taught because it's fancy and it looks cool, and it makes people think that they're getting their money's worth when you go out and teach them a bunch of fancy stuff. I never really did a lot of that myself. And most people, to be honest, would rather go in and learn and practice fancy stuff than go out and put on the gloves and go wailing at each other. So that's why we have people practicing and other people teaching all these fancy blocks and parries and all this kind of stuff, when a lot of times it is just cover up and go back brutally that wins the day. And so what I explained was, if somebody, for instance, I would teach my people, if somebody swings at you, you have all sorts of choices of when to try to intercept that strike. Okay, three ways to not get hit. Okay, not be there, avoid it, step out of the way, or don't go there in the first place. Parry it, which is redirecting the force, or block it, which is meeting it with greater force. So you have all sorts of, when it starts from when it gets to your face, you have all those little microseconds and nanoseconds in there that you can do something to intercept that force and that strike. But the thing is, if it's coming from around here, and they could fool you. They could look like they're starting low and round up high. They could look like they're starting high and come in for something else. It's difficult to try to deal with all that stuff, but what you do know is what the target is. Okay, the target's your head for the most part. Sometimes I know we can get into all this stuff about feint with the punch and come in with a kick, feint with the kick and come in with the punch. Kick to lower the defense and come in, all that stuff. But the thing is, if in defense of a punch, this is getting too complicated. I said, it's coming at your head, so just get something up to cover your head. Okay. And then you don't have to worry about all this blocking out here that opens you up other places, right? So I kind of use that as a comparison, that we have all of these threats around us, and I think that they are serious. They should be taken seriously, because if there's a potential threat and you don't take it seriously, you're not prepared. You don't have your mind in the game. But the thing is, just like covering up, the only thing we can do, if we don't control the government, which we don't, is defend ourselves where we are. And that means basic preparedness. All of those things that we talk about. And then moving up through basic to advanced and to what I call total self-reliance. Total preparedness is total self-reliance. Here comes the guy that's going, nobody can be fully prepared, which means he's not. And he doesn't want to put in the work to do it. And I had a guy say something stupid the other day. What was it? Well, I'll share it with you all. I don't remember. Anyway, that's what we can do. And that's what we should do. And all of these things, all of these new threats that we hear about, remind us that we are the ones responsible for our own preparedness, safety, and security. And that where we accomplish that is over the things, or among the things over which we have control. You have to separate yourself from dependence on all of those systems out there that you depend on, but you have no control over. And as soon as you can not just survive, but live well, independent of all those systems, food, water, shelter, defense, people, all those things, now you have provided the security that you can. Beyond that, you can go out and try to, exert your influence elsewhere, but creating, forming up that central security is the first thing that you do. And I want to also include, because I need to keep mentioning this, financial security is so important. Too many people in the preparedness world poo-poo finances, and they shouldn't. If you're not financially prepared, you're not prepared. But I know how to tie 9 million knots and 3,000 ways to start a fire, and I've got goats, and I've got, well, okay, man. You know what makes the world go round? Money. Now. Here comes the guy that says, your money's not going to be any good, your fiat currency isn't going to be any good. To which I always answer, it's plenty good now. And you need to be enabling yourself to take advantage of the opportunities that financial preparedness gives you while you prepare for a life that it may all go away. Okay? We're sitting on a barrel of gunpowder. And we look around, and there's all these fuses spread out like a spider web. 10, 20, 50 fuses, right? And they're all lit, and they're all coming towards the barrel of gunpowder we're sitting on. What are you going to do? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And these are the problems. These are the threats that everybody's always coming up with. Every day is something new to worry about. Oh, look over there, look over there, look over there. Well, I guess you could snip a few of the fuses, maybe, right? You know what to do. You know the only way to handle that. Get off the keg. Get off that barrel of gunpowder. That means separate yourself from the system. I don't mean separate yourself from society. If you want to do that, that's fine. I get it. But No, separate yourself from get off that barrel of gunpowder. So when it does, when one of those fuses, whichever one it is, finally meets that barrel and it blows, you're not sitting on top of it. You've already gone over there, which means, I don't mean necessarily physical relocation. I mean, you have separated yourself from dependence on the gunpowder. Okay, so anyway, every time one of these things comes up, don't be afraid. Don't get upset. Don't get all wacky. Don't run around in circles, screaming. I know you're all not like that, but I'm speaking to newer people. And I'm hoping, I know we're always getting newer people here that have just been scared to death by some of these other places that want to scare them to death every day. Don't be scared. Look at it. Look at the situations rationally. Look at your situation with a clear eye. If this happened, what would the effect be on me? I don't give you all the answers because you all are thinking people. And some people ask me questions. If you want to ask me a question, by the way, do so over on Patreon. You can send me a message. That's where to ask me a question, and I'm happy to answer it either in response there in message form or using it as the subject of a video. That's where to answer. I can't answer questions on YouTube and stuff. That's one of the great things about Patreon. But think about it. If the latest fuse that they're telling you about hits that barrel, what effect is that going to have on you? And then when you tick them off and go, okay, well, I'm fine there, whoops, whoa, there's some, I think I've got a problem over here. Okay, solve the problem. That's all it is, solve the problem. It's either talk or do, do it or don't do it. But it's up to you to do it. If you don't do it, you're going to be a victim like everybody else. So I hope you will. I'm going to leave it there. Think about this. I'll look forward to the comments. And I wish any of you who are not with us on Patreon, I wish you would come over there. Because the quality of the discussion and the quality of the people and the quality of the information that's available to you is so far beyond what you find on YouTube. Not just in the comments on the normal section, but in the community section. It is really a resource that if you're truly interested in preparedness, you would want. And it's only $1 a month. I'm thinking, I'm not going to say what I'm thinking about, but it's only $1 a month, and you should be over there. So that's it. Remember, thank you, Triple G, for putting that up, by the way. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. You're going to live tomorrow however well you prepared today. It's just like life.